Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, Mark Rosewater, better known as Maro, the head designer at Wizards, admits, an error that occurred that, let's jump into it. Maro admits one card killed this mechanic. I actually did not know about this news kind of at all, and some of you that maybe don't like this mechanic or an adjacent mechanic to it, you'll hear some things about it in this article. Here we go. All right. Once again, pointing at what he previously called the dagger in his heart, Magic's head designer Mark Rosewater admitted the Unfinity stickers were a mistake. Okay, so these stickers apparently were not supposed to be anywhere near Legacy. He wrote on his last blog last Wednesday, we goofed on the cost of one card. So apparently, again, like stickers, all right, like they were designing them, they wanted them for Commander, I guess, and like for Unfinity itself, but not to affect another format that can use Commander cards like Legacy. He doesn't regret mixing Black Border and Acorn cards in the same Magic set, though. My 2020 hindsight on Infinity is I wish we could have made the Acorn card silver bordered and the Eternal Ego cards black bordered, he wrote in a later post. I have no regrets letting people play cards in Eternal formats that would normally be black border in any other set. Now, there can be a good amount of discussion on that. People, one way or the other, if you'd rather have like no Unfinity cards, like no uncards at all ever legal, except for like, basic lands or whatnot, essentially. Or if you're okay with the ones that are more reasonable, that actually like, yeah, that could be a Magic card, essentially. Like, and when I say a Magic card, I mean one that like would actually pop up in Commander, one that makes sense, one that isn't like, I don't know, like go find a friend and ask if they may think this makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense to them, then they counter the spell, essentially, that kind of thing. Okay, moving on though. The Great Goblin goof. I did not know about this card, actually. I mean, I knew about it, but like, no offense to Unfinity, I kind of have forgotten about many things from Unfinity. And I definitely didn't realize that this card was super powerful. So, Blank Goblin is a 2/2 Goblin guest for 3 mana with some very, very interesting art. Yeah, there you go. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may put a name sticker on it. Add red for each unique vowel on that sticker. The vowels are A, E, I, O, and U, and Y, apparently, as well. And this card, Infiltrated Legacy. One of the, most disturbingly powerful formats of all time. And this card from Unfinity was like, yeah, I'm up there in power level. What? Okay. The one card Mark was referring to is Blank Goblin, which he had already pointed out was a mistake in Lessons Learned Part 7 article in December last year, where he noted that one of Unfinity's big mistakes was putting stickers in Eternal formats. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, we had tried hard to cause stickers so they wouldn't show up in competitive Eternal formats. Eternal events, I should say. We missed one. And that was apparently the Goblin. 5 months later, Blank Goblin was enough of a pain in Legacy that WotC outright banned them from Legacy, Vintage, and Pauper in the May 13, 2024 BNR announcement, which is kind of crazy. But moving even further with that, all cards that bring a sticker or an attraction into the game were banned, thus making Unfinity the set with the most Magic cards banned in a single day. That is crazy that the most Magic cards banned from any set is Unfinity because a card infiltrated Legacy and it was too powerful that it had to get banned. What in the world is this world when it's like, yeah, okay, this Blank Goblin is just destroying a format? Which in turn somewhat makes you wonder, goofed on just one card, why ban the whole mechanic then, and why in Vintage if it was a problem in Legacy? This is one of the only mechanics in Magic history that gets the axe for just being a flat-out bad idea, notes Tim Zaxiano when ranking stickers as the number 3 worst Magic mechanic of all time. Blank Goblin was bad enough that MTGO, they even had to turn into a dice rolling card to avoid coding the sticker mechanic, which is just crazy. That they actually had to say, you know what, no, we're just changing it. This is, again, like, revisionist history. We just, we designed the card wrong. It's just dice roll instead of actually doing what the card is supposed to do on MTGO. Unfinity wasn't on Arena, I don't think, so there you go. That's probably why there it is. Okay, maybe it was. Unfinity sales. It had to be said that, though, that by unset standards, Unfinity did great in one metric that Hasbro, like any corporation, cares about: money. It's the best-selling unset by a decent margin, wrote Mark in another post a few days ago, confirming what we had mentioned in January last year when he revealed that Unfinity had outperformed Unstable and was the bestseller by a pretty big margin. Interesting. It's a defense he has wielded several times, and looking at card prices, it does seem to suggest that mixing black border cards was a good idea. Again, because, yeah, it's not just, okay, I'm just playing silver border, format, or I'm just playing within Unfinity itself in a limited format. You could utilize cards in other formats, and again, the intention was more so like Commander, but actually they made a mistake, and Legacy got hit by one of those cards as well. As long as those black border cards happen to be very sought after, powerful reprints, like, say, Shocklands in space. So, yeah, again, that's kind of the thing. When it comes to, like, reprints, or when it comes to, like, basics from there, I don't think there's many Magic players out there that necessarily, like, against those kind of cards being black border, basically, or, the non-Acorn cards, which what they were. But yeah, there's definitely some other cards that some wouldn't want in formats, especially formats like Legacy, and yeah, one that just destroys Legacy. Here's apparently some cards that are incredibly expensive from oh my goodness, from Unfinity. Wow, I did not realize that. Yeah, the Shocklands themselves, yeah, go from what, $50? The Temple Garden, or actually $28, Sacred Founding Network. Okay, a couple down here. There we go. So 27, but all the way up to 106. Oh, I guess that's the same one. Never mind, just foil versions. Okay, so yeah, like $50 all the way up to $106. And apparently, there you go. The Goblin itself was like $25 in foil. That's crazy. So yeah, Unset apparently had some very expensive cards in it because, yeah, they could be used in other formats. So when it comes to them doing this moving forward, I would assume they're going to be like, yeah, if we're doing it again, we are doing that Acorn thing. Or again, if Mark could change it maybe to black border and also silver border in the same set, maybe that as well. This booster fund trick has indeed allowed Unfinity Collector boosters to keep a steady price, which in turn allowed it to be, as Mark says, be the best-selling unset of all time. Again, because it can be used outside of just Interesting. But if a set mixes black border and silver border cards, why go to such a length to make a radically new, never yet tested in the wilds mechanic like stickers legal in eternal formats? Above all, considering they never ever wanted it in Legacy. Sticking it to Nadu. Okay, so actually, I'll go back to the whole Goblin thing here in a second, because there's something to point out as well. But sticking it to Nadu. The primary goal behind making some cards in Unfinity legal was that sticker cards and attractions could be played in Commander, which is a kind of different note as well, because ironically, yeah, attractions kind of hated by a good amount of Commander players out there as well. Noted Andrew Brown in the same ban restricted announcement that struck down stickers, but there's no existing way to make a bunch of cards legal in Commander and not Legacy. I mean, currently there's no way, but you could probably find a way, right? You could just like say, like, hey, this set's not legal in Legacy, and Legacy be like, okay, it's not legal in Legacy, I guess. I don't know. I don't play Legacy myself, but I guess when it comes to like an Eternal card, I don't know. I don't know how you would do that, I guess. Okay. That sounds somewhat familiar. That's because it's the exact same reason why Nadu Winged Wisdom was made into a push card in Modern Horizons 3. I mean, yeah, when it comes to making decisions for Commander specifically, that does change things up. Ultimately, my intention was to create a build-around aimed at Commander play, which resulted in the final text, said senior game designer Michael Majors when explaining the mistake. We didn't play test with Nadu's final iteration, as we were too far along the process and shipped as is. If you want to see my entire episode on Nadu and why Nadu was banned in Commander, and then also like the history of Nadu and how it was made, make sure you check that episode out. It is pretty fascinating, actually, how it kind of changed last minute, essentially, and they didn't have time to test it. And the original version would have been fine in Commander. This version, not fine in Commander, and now banned. Part of the very famous, 4 banned cards that happened recently. And Mark himself admits that much. If there was a way to make them legal in Commander but not Legacy, I would have done it, he wrote last May, commenting on the stickers ban announcement, which is just very interesting, again, that outside of just straight up banning the cards, essentially, there is no current way to be like, yeah, you can play these in Commander but not Legacy. They're both eternal formats. They both can utilize basically any card in Magic that's not banned in the format for the most part. So, yeah, it is very interesting that is... again, for a kind of joke set with a common card in it that they didn't think would break into one of the most powerful formats out there, it did. The new normal. For better or worse, though, it's unlikely that something like stickers or possibly even unsets in general will show up again anytime soon. The uphill climb for unsets is not anything Unfinity did, Mark wrote, but the new normal for the expectations of a supplemental set. Yeah, that is kind of part of it as well, where, yeah, I mean, one of Mark's favorite things are those unsets from what I've heard. And a passion project, but now kind of with like these supplemental sets and their expectations, you're gonna make more if you are Hasbro on, most likely again, the Universes Beyond sets moving forward. And again, literally like the expectations being those, like where in the world would you put in an unset with, all of these? All of these. There's an absurd amount of them now, right? Final Fantasy next year, Marvel Spider-Man specifically next year, another one that hasn't been announced for I was about to say unsets, but for Universes Beyond sets. And also again, like it's just Marvel Spider-Man, so obviously they're gonna do like Marvel X-Men, Marvel Avengers. Like there's gonna be multiple sets with Marvel as well, and probably other properties that do a similar thing. You could have like a Game of Thrones one at some point too. Like we shall see what in the world happens with that. But again, like actually becoming a thing again, there's things that are working against it. He's referring to Magic's packed release schedule for 2025, which will have 6 standard sets and very little room for supplemental sets, let alone goofy, unsettling sets. So again, yeah, because we are moving up the number of standard sets, that also does turn it down. And also, again, the expectation of those sets is probably larger than what they'd expect from it unset, even though Unfinity was the best-selling one. It still seems that it's a bit of an understatement for how bad stickers were. When we released Unfinity, we knew that its partial legality in Magic's broader formats was an experiment with risks, Andrew Brown wrote in the ban announcement. Moving forward, we won't be revisiting this kind of experiment anytime soon. So yeah, when it comes to them actually doing those kinds of mechanics that like are overly jokey, I guess, and like them be like, well, Commander players will be fine with it, even though many player commanders out there maybe aren't fine with stickers or attractions. We'll talk about here in a second. Yeah, they're probably not going to make that same mistake again, because it did kind of become problematic in Legacy with a joke card like the Blank Goblin. Okay, really quick, just to illustrate the point on how, yeah, like attractions and stickers themselves like weren't all that welcome in Legacy. I did not realize it literally until I did an episode on like the saltiest cards of all time updated, and Draconian Gatebot showed up on that list. And I was like, wait, what? An Unfinity card? What? Okay, salt score of 1.62, 4/2, robot for 5 mana. Enters the battlefield, choose one, open an attraction, destroy target attraction. It's the opening attraction that is a problem in that one, where, yeah, in any deck, essentially, you can start playing with attractions, and some Commander players out there don't want attractions necessarily in Commander. Like, bring your separate attraction deck, and yeah, some players just don't want that. So having a card that you can just chuck into any deck, and all of a sudden it allows attractions to be part of the format. Again, not just Legacy, where, it's a bit more, I would say, serious play when it comes to it being competitive versus Commander. Not that there isn't serious competitive Commander too, but yeah, for the most part, it's more casual. Yeah, like even attractions, like in the format that they intended to impact with it, still is like, no, please don't do that for the most part. Yeah, again, like literally Draconian Gatebot, not as salty apparently as Consecrated Sphinx, but more salty than Avacyn, Angel of Hope, and Maha. Like what in Null Rod? What in the world? So yeah, Wizards, again, like a lot of reasons why they might not do an unset again in the near future, because of again, 6 standard sets, Universes Beyond becoming a thing, the expectations of how well supplemental sets and things do. But also, yeah, we're not going to maybe make big splashes like attractions or like stickers, again, that can really impact other formats. And yeah, even Commander potentially, because of the salt score on some of these cards. And lastly, and actually I didn't realize this because, again, I don't play with stickers. But yeah, apparently with certain stickers, certain stickers, they do have apparently all the vowels, I guess. And what was pointed out is that the Blank Goblin is actually even better than a seething song. A seething song, which is, yeah, a crazy good ritual effect that is very good in many formats, including Commander and, yeah, Legacy. And, yeah, with that, the Goblin, actually, this one makes, 5 mana, 4/3, essentially, so you're going up 2. The Blank Goblin can make 6 mana, which is just hilariously, again, they literally switched it also because they didn't want to code that MTGO. They switched it to a dice roll. But again, it's like, okay, I understand that they missed this, and it's fair to miss it. But, yeah, kind of for fear of doing this again, again, having a new mechanic that is just so off the wall and kind of ridiculous and not really Magic at all. More, for unset, like fine in the unset, but like outside of that, like, no, not really. Yeah, potentially having it become an actually played card in Legacy again is probably not what they want to do. So unless they find a way to be like, yeah, these somehow are banned in Legacy, but not Commander, if they kind of implement something around that, which I don't know how they'd go about and do it, other than just put on the card, this card cannot be played in Legacy. I don't know. Or just straight up banning the cards right away in Legacy. Yeah, where I don't see them kind of making these kind of big splashes to these kind of really off-the-wall, ridiculous mechanics like attractions, stickers. Yeah, and again, maybe because some of the saltiness of, attractions in Commander, they might not do that one or do those types of mechanics again, even just for Commander itself, but we shall see. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. As always, comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.